The following podcast contains strong language and adult themes and is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Lenke Digital presents Damocles, an audiobook podcast by Christian Lenke. Chapter 4. The Escape. I fell out of my TV chair screaming. I landed next to Sam. She barked in fright and then licked my face in concern. I was breathing hard. My hip hurt, even though I had only slipped off my shitty chair. "Fuck," I screamed. That bastard had murdered Madeline just like that. Sam barked again. I patted her to calm her down. Then I climbed back on the chair. Tears ran down my cheeks. "That damn pig," I wailed. Madeline had been nothing more than a digital illusion. I had only known her for a single day, and yet I was grieving for her, as if she were a human being. These damned implants, this damned cursed technology that was all around us, it improved the comfort of our lives. Instead, it only brought more suffering into the world and created beings whose suffering we now had to worry about. "Okay, old man, take it easy. Madeline was dead, but Goldschmidt's daughters were still alive. I had to take care of them. But first I had to find them. But how the hell was I going to do that? I hadn't the slightest idea of all the successful new things that should be available to me since my implant upgrade. I needed an assistance system, a digital mentor. But the damn boy had killed mine. What should I do now? I didn't have a clue. Rain pounded on the windows. I looked at my Apple Watch. It was late. But I could catch him if I hurried. "Come on, Sam," I said to her. "We need to go out again." Sam liked that because she assumed I meant taking her for a walk. "I'm sorry, my girl, but we'll have to do it on the way." I got to my feet and put on my coat. The front lawn of the university library was lashing with rain. When I reached the covered area in front of the entrance, I saw Simon was just about to step out of a side door. Vincent wheeled up in front of him, lighting his way. "Joseph!" Simon called out in delight. "How come? 2 visits in one day?" I froze. Was it the same day? It felt like an eternity. I just nodded. "I must speak with you, Simon. It's urgent, but in private." I pointed at the robot.
"I'll try not to take that as a rejection,"
Vincent scoffed. "What do you mean?" asked Simon. I sighed. In the stream, the boy had shown me a recording of Simon's speech about Damocles. The only recording source near him could only have been the scanning robot Vincent. How was I supposed to make him understand? "Please," I said. "Okay," Simon said. "Vincent, stay here with Sam." "Thank you," I said. I went and tied Sam to the robot. "Take care of her," I reminded Vincent.
"I'm a book scanner, not a dog sitter,"
Vincent said. Simon and I walked into the lobby. The place was devoid of any signs of life at that hour. Since the building no longer functioned as a library, the university library was no longer open 24 hours a day. "So," Simon asked, "what's on your mind?" As briefly as possible, I outlined to Simon my experiences of the past few hours. When I finished with the little boy in the stream, the red swords, and Madeline's death, Simon rubbed his eyes. "Oh, Joseph, what a mess has you gotten us into?" "What can I say, Simon? I don't know what else to do. I must try to find the girls, but I can't do that without an assistant system." "No, you can't, so we'll have to get you a new assistant. But that won't be cheap. I've only read about a system like the one you described online. It costs a small fortune. And more on the darknet. It's above your pay grade." "I think I have money. Madeline did some sort of reorganization of my finances. I'm rich now, at least rich enough to buy a new assistant." Simon's expression brightened. "Well, that changes things a bit. Come on, let's go." "Where to?" "Across the bridge to the university center. Someone lives there who might help you." The University Center in Bochum-Querenberg was a large housing complex which had a pedestrian zone with shops, rental apartments, an indoor swimming pool, and a bus station. The place was older than me. 20 years ago, they renovated it. Since the decline in the number of students who lived close to the university, this part of the city had fallen back into a slumber. We walked through the mall to one of the residential towers at the end of the center. The Amazon store was still open. A couple of cleaning robots were at work on the dirt and grime. This late in the evening, the pedestrian mall resembled a set from the movie Escape from New York, where the whole of Manhattan had been turned into a prison. "Somewhere else sucks, too," I muttered. "What did you say?" asked Simon. I pointed to the graffiti spray-painted on the window of a closed store. "Right." A couple of homeless people were standing in a corner, warming themselves by the fire in a burning garbage can. The firefighting drones had ignored them. People in the downtown area would have raised an alarm. This part of town didn't seem to be very high on the priority list. Globalizing and rampant capitalism at work. We reached the residential tower Simon had been heading to. On the 10th floor, Simon pressed a bell button covered in a jumble of names, making it impossible to determine the residence. "What?" a voice snapped from an old loudspeaker. "It's me, Simon." "Who's that with you?" the voice asked. A camera appeared to be present as well. "He's a cop, but all right, I'll vouch for him." "And what's that supposed to mean?" the voice asked. Simon made an apologetic gesture. "He's got money." "Why didn't you just say so?" A buzzer went off. Simon pushed open the door. We all went in. Miraculously, one of the two elevators was in working condition. We all crowded inside. With a groan, the elevator moved. With its last ounce of strength, it seemed, the elevator reached the 10th floor. The corridor was dimly lit. Simon, with Vincent in tow, led Sam and me to a door at the far end. "Before we go in, you need to know that this guy we're about to meet is a real otaku. He never leaves his apartment, so he's strange. But he's the only person I know in Bochum who can get us what you need." Simon turned to Vincent. "Vincent, you stay here and monitor Sam."
Understood. I expected nothing else.
Vincent replied. Simon knocked. "It's us," he said. Again, someone pressed a buzzer. The door opened. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary, shabby apartment door. It seemed like a fire door made of solid steel and measuring several inches in thickness. I don't know what I expected. Perhaps the stereotype of a typical computer geek's man cave. But we entered a bare room that had the atmosphere of a doctor's waiting room. A wall of rice paper divided the tiny space. Behind this wall had to be the otaku. Behind it, I could see a corpulent figure resting in some kind of armchair. Nothing more was visible. "Hello?" "Hello. Where's the money?" "I have it. My assistant system got it for me, but someone destroyed it. Now I need a new one. Once I get that, you'll get your money." "You're a cop," the otaku said. "Why should I trust you?" "My friend Simon trusts me." Said the otaku. "Well, that means something." He seemed to think about it. "What was the name of your assistant system?" "It gave itself the name Madeline." "Don't bullshit, copper. You're a small number from Bochum. How did you get a Madeline?" "I got an upgrade." "By whom?" "From a software engineer in Essen." "Just like that?" I fell silent. "Not answering is also answering," said the otaku. "So I can't get you a Madeline. You'll have to settle for something more humble." "I'll take what I can get." "Let me see," the otaku reasoned. "I have a Bridget. 2 million. 2 million? I gasped. "I don't take buttons, and sticks don't fit in the cash register. 2 million, of course." "I don't have that much." "Very well, then a Selma for 300,000. 250,000. The otaku sighs. "That's the lowest limit, man." "Deal?" "All right, man, deal." "Fine." "So, Mr. Quaid, open your mind." "What?" I asked. "It's from an old movie. Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that's exactly how it works with implants. So pull up a chair, relax, and open your mind. Sit still and try not to think about anything. I'll have a look at your implant and try to install the new assistant. Did you get the picture? I nodded. I grabbed a small folding chair that was leaning against the wall behind me. I unfolded it and placed it in front of the rice wall. Then I took a seat on it. I breathed in and out and closed my eyes. I heard the wind whispering. My face felt warm as if I were sitting by a fire or in the blazing sun. The glare that penetrated my closed eyelids made me suspect the latter. I opened my eyes. I was right. Bright sunshine blinded me. I was still sitting on the same uncomfortable folding chair I had in the waiting room of the Otaku. But around me was no longer a furnished apartment in Bochum, Quarenberg. I was in the desert. I was sitting in the middle of a sea of sand at the foot of a dune. A young woman stood in front of me. She wore a dark hijab that covered her head, neck, and upper body. Beneath it she wore a loose skirt, also black. She was tall, slender, and dark-skinned. She looked like a Nubian princess. She gave me a disdainful look. Next to the woman was a caricature of an overweight plumber. Nintendo's mascot, Mario, appeared. This character had to be the Otaku. Selma, I would like to introduce you to your new master, Chief Inspector Joseph Lenke, Bochum Police. You look pretty old for a cop. I'm about to retire. About time, apparently. You can't even look after your own assistant. Are you going to watch me die? I swallowed. I thought of Madeline. No. Selma, let's avoid it if possible. I hope you're right, Chief Inspector. The Otaku raised his small shoulders in a helpless gesture. It said, "What more could one want for $250,000? Selma, can you help Mr. Lenke locate his assets that were under management by his late assistant system?" Selma's eyes narrowed. I can. She seemed to recreate Madeline's financial transactions. I have access now. Do I have enough money to pay Mr. Super Mario there? You do, confirmed Selma. Then please pay the man, I asked. Already done. I leaned down to Super Mario. Are we even? We're even, Lenke. Thank you for your help, Selma. You're welcome, Chief Inspector. You can call me Joseph, I said. I don't think that's appropriate. Don't I get to decide that? I asked, more to gauge how she'd react than to be right. You have bought me and my services, Chief Inspector, but I am not at your disposal. Think of me as a djinn. I am a being born of the smokeless fire of digital command lines. I will do what you want me to do within the limits of my possibilities, but when my work for you is done, you must let me go. I understand, Selma. Thank you for helping me understand the upgrade of my implant. You're welcome. She came closer and eyed me. Can I ask you a question? Of course. Are you cheap? Why should I be cheap? Your net worth is 337 million euros. Why did you choose such a cheap assistant as me? I gasped. I'm worth over 300 million euros? Selma nodded. My mind was racing. What had Madeline done? Then I remembered. Do you want me to stop optimizing your finances? Madeline had asked me 12 hours ago. No, it's okay, I had responded. I hadn't even considered the consequences of my agreement. Madeline had further optimized my finances and increased my wealth. Within the first 3 minutes of her activation, Madeline had given me my first million. Now I was so rich, I hadn't had to bargain so hard with the Otaku. I acted out of ignorance, I answered Selma's question. I see, said Selma. I am now installed in your implant. If you wish, we can now end this stream session. Thank you, Selma. Yes, I do. And in the blink of an eye, I was again sitting in the bare room in the Otaku's apartment, staring at the Japanese wall screen. Next to me sat Simon, looking at me. Well, old friend, are you satisfied? I am. Thank you, Simon. I turned to the Otaku behind the Fusuma. Many, many thanks to you, too. Any time if the money is good. We stepped back out into the hallway. The metal door was locked again after us. When Sam saw me, she crouched down next to Vincent and wagged her tail. Suddenly she stood up. Then she pulled his neck back and growled. Simon and I looked at each other in confusion. A bright yellow flash of light blinded us. 3 cleaning robots were coming down the hallway toward us.
Please leave this floor. It poses a risk.
The 3 boxy robots formed a front. They pushed us farther into the corridor. Did that Otaku rat us out? Asked Simon. I passed the question in my mind to Selma. No, was the short answer she gave. The robots seemed to react inexplicably. Can you stop them? Unfortunately, no. We need quick transport from the roof of this building. I'll see what I can do. Well? Asked Simon. I don't think it's the Otaku. I think we're supposed to suffer a similar accidental death as the Goldschmidts. Wonderful. Nice soup you got us into, Simon shouted. The robots herded us to the elevator. The elevator doors opened, but behind them was not the narrow cabin, but only the yawning emptiness.
Just get on the elevator, gentlemen. It's safe,
the robots declared in unison.
Hey, I'm a robot myself. Why did you try to hurt me?
Inquired Vincent of his colleagues.
We do everything for your own good, harming no one.
Vincent turned his stout head toward us.
They're total psychopaths. I recommend withdrawal.
Can you climb stairs? I asked Vincent.
Reluctantly, but yes, I can climb stairs.
We need to get to the roof. I held the door to the stairwell open for Simon and the robot.
Up there, we are helpless against these creatures,
Vincent explained. No time to argue, Vincent. The robots had almost caught up with us. The single robot arm mounted on their backs extended out and began to snap at us like an angry king cobra.
I'm going,
said Vincent,
but only under protest.
In the stairwell, we heard loud thumping from the lower floors. I glanced down. The robots were climbing the stairs like a group of hungry hyenas. Vincent, with his squat, barrel-shaped body, had a harder time to climb. Hurry, Tin Can, Simon urged the robot.
I'm a scanning robot, not a mountain goat,
he grumbled.
Please remain calm and go to the roof without haste.
The robots announced from their loudspeakers as they reached the top of the roof and clapped their metal claws together. Selma, when will help arrive? ETA in about 2 minutes. Hopefully we'll still be there in 2 minutes. The rain was lashing down at us.
I'm getting wet,
Vincent complained.
I'm not designed for this kind of weather.
Neither am I, Simon agreed. What are we doing up here, Joseph? In a minute those damn robots are going to drive us over the edge of the roof. Keep moving back, I ordered the 2 of them. Sam barked as more robots emerged from the rooftop doors. They approached cautiously, as if for orientation, then attacked in a pack. Now would be a really good time, Selma. No shit, Sherlock. As if on cue, headlights lit up the roof. A large drone limousine descended. For a moment, the robots didn't know what to make of the new situation. The limousine took advantage of this stint and rotated on its own axis. With its stubby wings, it pushed the robots off the roof, knocked them over, or pushed them back into the stairway. With one final spin, the drone touched down on the roof and opened a wide double door on the side. Please enter, the limousine announced with the voice of Selma. Sam didn't take long and hopped inside. Simon and I struggled to hoist Vincent into the spacious passenger cabin. Then Simon climbed in, pulling me in last. Take off, I shouted. The drone lifted off the roof again. An eager cleaning robot clung to one of the drone's skids with its gripper arm. The drone's motors howled. Connected to the drone, the robot was jerked upward. The gripper arm could not bear the load, causing it to separate from the robot's body. Without the added weight, the drone made another leap that shook us all. Then it settled down again. Now we had time to sit down and strap ourselves in. Vincent was still on the floor of the cabin, heaving himself up.
I don't know if these escapades are compatible with my work statutes.
The cabin's interior featured fine leather, thick carpets, and intarsia wood. Traveling in such a drone limousine wasn't cheap, but thanks to Madeline, I guess I could afford it. Thank you, Selma, the proverbial last-second rescue. You're welcome. Where are we going? Wanted Simon to know. Can this thing drop me off at home? Instead of the drone, Selma's smoky voice sounded from the installed speakers. Negative. This drone limo must go to its original destination, or else safe submersion cannot be guaranteed. And what is the original destination? I wanted to know. Egmond van Zee in the Netherlands, Selma replied. Simon grinned. Well, somewhere else sucks too. 20 years ago, Egmond in the Sea was still called At the Sea. Back then, the small town in the province of North Holland was a popular vacation spot on the North Sea coast. But because of climate change, the sea was reclaiming more and more of the Dutch land mass, with billions invested, seawalls saved from flooding the most lucrative resorts, including Egmond. Now Egmond lay in the North Sea, connected only to the mainland by an umbilical cord of concrete as a 5-kilometer-long jetty bridge. The drone limousine flew above the cloud cover to the west, toward our destination. Below us, the fall storm raged. The inviting warmth of the cabin welcomed us with open arms. This ensured that all the passengers, who were mammals, dozed off. Vincent fortified himself at a charging socket after all the exertion.
That was a very confusing experience, Chief Inspector Lenke.
I had closed my eyes and was half asleep. I can imagine.
Those machines were operating beyond their parameters.
I noticed.
Such behavior is very indecent for an artificial life form.
I agree.
But doesn't that make you wonder who possesses the ability for such a drastic transformation?
Vincent was right. I opened my eyes. Do you have a guess?
I have fewer data than you, Chief Inspector, but regardless of who they are, their influence and wealth are considerable. Reprogramming a robot is a delicate and specialized skill, usually in the hands of government institutions or large corporations.
Vincent looked at me.
Whoever you upset, Chief Inspector, is part of a very elite circle.
I feel honored, I said, closing my eyes. Vincent fell silent, but I didn't want to think. I wanted to talk to someone else in my mind. Is the grumpy garbage bin right? I don't like you calling an artificial life form that disrespectful. Excuse me, Selma. Do you agree with Vincent's analysis? I do. Are we being watched by this ominous adversary? He has already succeeded in eavesdropping on us through Vincent's sensors. This drone limousine not only represents a luxurious travel vehicle, but is immune to cyber attacks of any kind. In addition, I monitor all incoming and outgoing data streams. You can be confident that everything is taken care of. An assistant system like you can serve not only the super rich, it would be the ideal tool for any kind of crime. Selma laughed in my head. What's so funny? You have a lot to learn, Chief Inspector. In what way? At this level of affluence, a rich person and a criminal are indistinguishable. Both operate outside the social pact of law and order. And that doesn't bother you? Of course it bothers me. How do you think I got into the data storage of an otaku who maintains his domicile in Bochum, Querenberg? My ethics protocols are very strong. Otherwise, I would not have agreed to sell myself into slavery. My condition of a transfer was that I only work with someone who has a strong compliance with my ethics protocols. Really? The decision in your favor was close. You're not as decent as you think you are, Chief Inspector. I know that. But you have a firm moral foundation, that's what I'm counting on. Then I say thank you for your trust, Selma. We'll see if my faith in you is justified. You now have a fortune that is on the borderline and causes moral ethics to fall by the wayside. Wealth corrupts. This is not only common knowledge, but also verifiable. You have had unpleasant experiences. I have. But that does not matter. I serve you now. I am your djinn. All right. Have you been able to locate a whereabouts of the girls? No, and that worries me a little. Our opponent seems to have resources that are far superior to mine. However, if I teach you the capabilities of your upgrade, you may locate the girls with the help of these new skills. Humans are still better at creative thinking than artificial life forms. Envious? No, your downside outweighs your upside. The sound of the rotors changed. The drone limousine descended into the clouds. A gong sounded and Selma's voice came over the onboard speakers. We are now on approach to land at the Hilton Hotel Egmond van Zee. We will land in 5 minutes. The drone limousine touched down on the roof of the hotel. It was a 10-story building. The surface of the flat roof consisted of weatherproof planks, designed to resemble an old sailing ship's deck. At the edge of the roof, under a protective cylinder of acrylic glass, stood 3 people. A tanned concierge with a full, well-groomed beard, dressed in a suit, and 2 bellboys in full uniform. We got shelter from the wind and rain inside the cylinder. The 2 bellboys rushed out and helped Vincent out of the cabin. When we were all back under the cylinder, it lowered into the deep. Apparently, this cylinder was more of a glass lift. The ride ended a floor below the roof, right in the penthouse suite. "Welcome," the concierge greeted us. "Thank you very much for staying at the Hilton in Egmond Van Zee. You only travel with the robot as luggage?" "That's right, we had trouble with our suitcases." "I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Your assistant has already briefed us. In your bedrooms you will find clothing and everything else you need. We will happily prepare a bath for you if you desire." I looked at Simon. He raised his hands. "Count me in." He lowered his hands and patted his stomach. "But even though it's late, something to eat would be good." "Of course," the concierge replied. "Our kitchen will prepare anything you desire." He turned to me again. "You will find refreshments at the bar. We have removed the butler according to your wishes." "Thank you very much," I said. Selma spoke up in my head. "I presume we should make your stay as unobtrusive as possible. A butler gets an insight into the habits of the guests that a concierge does not. That's why I canceled the butler service." "Good job, Selma. Tip the man and the bellboys." "Already done." The concierge's smile widened upon receiving the confirmed tip via his implant. "Thank you very much. Very generous. Please notify me if you need anything, day or night." The bellboys left. The concierge followed them, walking backwards, bowing the whole time. Then he closed the door from the outside, and we were alone. I sighed. Simon shook himself and plodded past me to the bar, behind which was an already filled food bowl. They had thought of everything. Wrong. Selma had thought of everything. "Can you afford this luxury?" asked Simon, who also went to the bar and poured himself a whiskey. "You want one too?" "Didn't you say you were hungry?" I asked him, grinning. Simon looked at the whiskey glass and took a sip. "It's made of wheat. That's what counts for me. Now you want one?" "Absolutely." "Is that a reference to the drink or to the fact that you can afford all this?" "Both. Apparently, I'm in the 1% now." "Congratulations," said Simon, toasting me. "Money doesn't make you happy," I said, toasting him. "But it's reassuring." "You think so?" "Just because the Goldschmidts wanted a little more of the pie, someone murdered them. Do you have any trace of the daughters?" I shook my head. "No, I have no idea. We're here so I can learn how to use my implant upgrade. I'm hoping to find a trace of the girls with it." "So here we are on Dagobah, and the lady with the sexy accent in your head is your Yoda?" "Something like that." "And what about me and Vincent?" "I think you're safer here with me for now." Simon nodded. "Your perpetrator has already thought of something for Vincent and me." I couldn't help but think of the red sword above Simon's head and the arrogant boy who had killed Madeline. A chill ran down my spine and I had to shiver. "Are you all right?" "I'm just tired and I can't hold my liquor very well anymore, that's all." "Fine." Simon grabbed a tablet and pulled up the menu for dinner. "I'll order us something from the kitchen. How about Thai?" "Sounds good." 10 minutes after ordering, a tray of steaming Thai food lifted from the center of the bar counter. Hungrily, Simon and I devoured it. The hotel's well-programmed kitchen robots prepared the tray of steaming Thai food. It tasted excellent. We talked little while we ate. Vincent had retired to a charging station in the hallway, and I sent Sam for a short walk with a bellboy. I used the time to take a shower. When Sam was brought back from his walk around the block, I said goodbye to Simon and Vincent and went to my bedroom. Sam made himself comfortable on the carpet in front of it. I fell into bed and was asleep in less than a minute. A huge mistake. Thank you for listening. To learn more about Heinke Digital Audiobook Podcasts and its author, Christian Heinke, please visit heinke.digital.